Today, we're going to make friends with a very useful little group of Spanish verbs. These are present tense irregulars, but don't worry, we are not going to try to memorize a giant chart that eats your afternoon. We're going to focus on a small set you will hear all the time in real life. Tener, venir, ir, hacer, poner, and salir. These verbs are everywhere. If Spanish were a neighborhood, these verbs would be the neighbors always outside talking. The big idea is simple. Some very common verbs do not follow the most predictable pattern. But the good news is that because they are so common, you hear them again and again, and that makes them easier to remember. We'll focus on useful phrases you can actually say. Let's start with tener, to have. One super useful form is tengo, I have. Listen, tengo dinero, I have money. Tengo hambre, I'm hungry. Literally, I have hunger. Tengo frío, I'm cold. Literally, I have cold. That is a great survival pattern in Spanish. Instead of saying, I am hungry, Spanish often says, I have hunger. Instead of I am cold, I have cold. How do you say, I have time in Spanish? Tengo tiempo. Tengo tiempo. Nice. Tiempo means time or weather, depending on context. If someone says hace buen tiempo, that means the weather is nice. Tiny detour there, because Spanish likes efficiency. Now another tener phrase. Tengo hambre. I'm hungry. Say it with me. Tengo hambre. Good. And remember, hambre is feminine in meaning, but you say el hambre in some cases because the word starts with a stressed A sound. You do not need to master that now. Just notice it when you hear it. How do you say I'm hungry in Spanish? Tengo hambre. Tengo hambre. Great. So, tener gives you very practical life Spanish. Now let's meet venir, to come. A key form is vengo, I come or I'm coming. Listen, vengo ahora, I'm coming now. Vengo contigo, I'm coming with you. That little form vengo is worth gold. You'll hear it in conversations, on the phone, at the door, everywhere. How do you say, I'm coming now, in Spanish? Vengo ahora. Vengo ahora. Excellent. Notice something helpful. Tengo and vengo sound a bit like cousins. That final go is a clue in the first person singular, the I form. Not every irregular verb does this, but several very common ones do, and that gives you a memory hook. Tengo, vengo, hago, pongo, salgo. It's like a little club of go verbs. Next is ir, to go. The super important form here is voy, I go or I'm going. This one is short, common, and powerful. Voy al trabajo, I'm going to work. Voy a casa, I'm going home. Voy a estudiar, I'm going to study. That last one is a very useful pattern. Voy a plus verb, meaning I'm going to do something. How do you say I'm going home in Spanish? Voy a casa. Voy a casa. Perfect. A quick side note. A casa means home without needing la. Spanish just says voy a casa, not voy a la casa, when you mean home in a general sense. Now, hacer, to do or to make. The form you really want first is hago, I do or I make. Hago café, I'm making coffee. Hago ejercicio, I exercise. Literally, I do exercise. Hago la cena, I'm making dinner. This one is wildly useful. How do you say I'm making coffee in Spanish? Hago café. Hago café. Very good. And here's a memory trick. Hacer sounds a little like fabricate in function, because it often means make. And hago is one of those go forms again. Hago. Next, poner, to put. The key form is pongo, I put. Pongo la mesa means I set the table, Literally, I put the table. Pongo música, I put on music. Pongo el teléfono aquí, I put the phone here. How do you say I put the phone here in Spanish? Pongo el teléfono aquí. Pongo el teléfono aquí. Nice. Aquí means here. If you point farther away, you may hear allí or allá, over there. For now, aquí is your best friend. Now salir, to leave or to go out. The form is salgo. I leave. I go out. Salgo ahora. I'm leaving now. Salgo con amigos. I'm going out with friends. Salgo del trabajo a las 5. I leave work at 5. Very everyday Spanish. How do you say I'm leaving now in Spanish? Salgo ahora. Excellent. Another tiny helpful note. De plus el becomes del. So salgo del trabajo means I leave from work. Spanish likes these little contractions. Let's put these 6 verbs together in a simple, memorable way. Tengo means I have. Vengo means I'm coming. Voy means I'm going. Hago means I do or I make. Pongo means I put. Salgo means I leave or I go out. Hear that rhythm? Tengo, vengo, hago, pongo, salgo. And then voy, the short one that does its own thing. If this were a band, voy would be the dramatic lead singer. Now let's use them in very short real-life moments. Your friend asks if you're free. You say, tengo tiempo, I have time. Someone says dinner is ready. You say, vengo ahora, I'm coming now. You're done for the day. You say, voy a casa, I'm going home. You're in the kitchen. You say, hago café, I'm making coffee. You're helping before dinner. You say, pongo la mesa, I'm setting the table. You need to leave. You say, salgo ahora, I'm leaving now. How do you say I'm going to study in Spanish? Voy a estudiar. Voy a estudiar. How do you say I put on music in Spanish? Pongo música. Pongo música. How do you say I have money in Spanish? Tengo dinero. Tengo frío. Tengo frío. Tengo frío. How do you say I'm going out with friends in Spanish? Salgo con amigos. Salgo con amigos. How do you say I'm coming with you in Spanish? Vengo contigo. Vengo contigo. How do you say I set the table in Spanish? Pongo la mesa. Pongo la mesa. That's exactly the kind of repetition your brain loves. Short, useful, and connected to real life. Here's a simple memory map before we finish. Tener is about what you have. Tengo hambre, tengo tiempo. Venir is about coming. Vengo ahora. Ir is about going. Voy a casa, voy a estudiar. Hacer is about doing or making. Hago café. Poner is about putting things somewhere or putting something on. Pongo la mesa. Pongo música. Salir is about leaving or going out. Salgo ahora. If you only remember one thing today, remember this little survival set. Tengo, vengo, voy, hago, pongo, salgo. Say them once with me. Tengo, vengo, voy, hago, pongo, salgo. Excellent. These verbs are common because life is common. We have things, we come, we go, we make things, we put things down, and we leave. So the more everyday Spanish you hear, the more these forms will show up and start to feel natural. Quick recap. Tener becomes tengo. Venir becomes vengo. Ir becomes voy. Hacer becomes hago. Poner becomes pongo. Salir becomes salgo. Don't worry about mastering every person and every pattern right now. For A1, The win is recognizing them, using them, and building confidence with short phrases. You're doing well, really. If these forms felt a little irregular, that's normal. Irregular does not mean impossible. It just means famous. These are celebrity verbs, and now you know them a little better. Keep listening for them, say them out loud, and use them in tiny moments today. Tengo tiempo, voy a casa, hago café, salgo ahora. Little by little, your Spanish gets stronger.